say the shadows whisper and the old house groans.
Before the internet, men's advocacy began with the men's liberation movement of the 1970s, a response to second-wave feminism that split into two paths. Pro-feminist groups focused on equality and men's rights activists, MRAs, who addressed issues like custody, false accusations, and family court bias. By the 1990s, writers like Warren Farrell laid the foundation for the modern manosphere. In the early 2000s, online forums such as A Voice for Men and The Spearhead united MRAs around topics like male suicide and cultural misandry. Meanwhile, the mid to late 2000s saw the rise of the pickup artist, PUA movement, popularized by Neil Strauss's The Game, and blogs like Return of Kings, teaching men strategies for dating and confidence, an evolution that later fed into the red pill ideology. Named after the Matrix metaphor of waking up to hidden truths, the red pill became the manosphere's defining philosophy. Core beliefs. Society and feminism manipulate men into weakness or servitude. Female nature is hypergamous. Women choose men based on status resources. Men must reclaim dominance, self-reliance, and sexual power. To be clear, focus on building your empire. If you built it, they will come. I understand this sucks. However, you are better off going to the Hong Kong in Tijuana, Mexico to meet your needs. After all, you pay her to go away, not to stick around and siphon off your energy and peace of mind. Or maybe up and down the steps in Frankfurt, Germany. Or perhaps the red light district in Amsterdam or Subic Bay. Just ensure they are of age, and it is in a tolerance zone where it is legal. Use protection and do not fall in love. Remember, they are master manipulators. Don't be that nightly dumbass. Sitting at the end of the bar. And of course, use the buddy system. Leading the charge in shaping modern manosphere discourse were platforms like Reddit's Are the Red Pill, Return of Kings, and a wave of influential YouTube creators including Sandman, Turd-Flinging Monkey, Entrepreneurs in Cars, Diana Davison, Jordan Peterson, the late Kevin Samuels, Redonkulous Regiment, the Tate Brothers, the late Coach Red Pill, Badger Live Streams, Pearly Things, Anton Daniels, and Darius M., to name a few. Links to channels in the description. Please support. Collectively, they brought global attention to men's struggles in relationships, society, and especially within the family court system, challenging long-standing narratives about fatherhood, custody, and gender bias in modern culture. The manosphere has evolved beyond simply exposing the flaws of modern feminism and the injustices of the family court system. Today, it has become a diverse community of men and women who exchange knowledge, share experiences, and work toward practical solutions. What began as frustration has matured into a movement focused on accountability, reform, and personal growth, a space where people confront corruption, challenge double standards, and strive to rebuild fairness and balance in a system that too often sees men as disposable. New voices like Ask the Old Man, Psyche Depth, John Griffin, Men Need to Be Heard, Psychax, and Dad Mode in Dark Mode have pushed the conversation even further. Links to channels in the description. These creators have breached the cultural firewall and established a foothold within hostile territory, bringing nuanced, intelligent discussions about masculinity, psychology and fatherhood into spaces that once rejected them. Their presence marks a shift from defending men's issues on the margins to engaging the mainstream with insight, empathy, and unapologetic truth. However, there is a voice on social media that rises above all, her soothing voice cut through the noise, drawing listeners in and compelling them to think critically, to confront an uncomfortable truth about society's silent killer of men. Imagery. Her YouTube channel, Girl Writes What, became a catalyst for the men's rights movement, giving it momentum and visibility. Through her thoughtful commentary, she inspired a new generation of creators to question cultural narratives and speak openly about men's issues. Born in 1983, Karen Straugan grew up in Sherwood Park, a small community just outside Edmonton, Alberta. She didn't come from academia or politics, just ordinary life. Working part-time jobs while raising her children, she experienced firsthand the challenges of single motherhood and the complexities of Canada's family court system. Those experiences lit the first spark of a lifelong commitment to question the systems that shape our understanding of men and women. Unlike most voices in the gender debate, Karen Straugan never entered the conversation with a university degree or institutional backing. She's entirely self-educated, driven by curiosity, not credentials. Through years of independent study and relentless observation, she built a worldview grounded in data, logic, and lived experience. Her independence became her greatest strength, allowing her to speak without the filters of politics or ideology. In 2011, she launched her YouTube channel, Girl Writes What. Her videos, measured, analytical, and deeply reasoned, explored the silent struggles of men. Suicide, false accusations, custody bias, and the crushing pressure to remain strong in silence. Straugan's calm, soft-spoken tone stood in sharp contrast to the outrage that often dominates online debates. She didn't shout. She reasoned, and that made people listen. As her audience grew, Straugan co-founded the Honey Badger Brigade, a collective of creators and activists dedicated to men's rights and cultural critique. Their podcasts blended humor, intellect, and social commentary, giving voice to issues the mainstream preferred to ignore. The honey badger quickly became a symbol, women who refused to be silenced for defending men's issues. At the heart of Straugan's philosophy lies a simple but profound belief. Men and women have both carried burdens, and both deserve empathy. She challenges the idea of patriarchy as a one-sided system of oppression, arguing instead that gender roles evolved as mutual survival strategies, not as power struggles. Equality means hearing both sides of the story. Karen Straugan. She reminds audiences that real progress will never come from blame, but from understanding how both sexes have been shaped by history and expectation. Of course, her rise did not come without controversy. Critics accused her of downplaying women's struggles or aligning with reactionary politics. Academics questioned her interpretations and her lack of formal credentials. But her supporters argue that this independence is precisely what gives her clarity. She says what others are too afraid to. Today, Karen Straugan remains active on social media and podcasts, continuing to speak on fatherhood, free speech, and equality. Though her YouTube uploads have slowed, her influence endures, echoing through podcasts, classrooms, and online forums around the world. Whether seen as a reformer or a provocateur, Karen Straugan changed the tone of the gender conversation. She pushed it toward balance, evidence, and reason. In the end, Karen Straugan's story isn't just about gender, it's about courage. The courage to question accepted truths, to speak when silence is safer, and to remind us that equality cannot exist unless every voice is heard. Her videos lit a spark. She helped ignite what would become the modern men's rights conversation, what the internet now calls the red pill or the manosphere. Her videos belong on the internet's Mount Rushmore, monuments of raw thought and reason. If you're a young man searching for understanding, look up Girl Writes What. Her early videos, filmed in her kitchen, often wearing a simple whiff beater and smoking a cigarette, were unintentionally iconic. Casual, almost playful, but filled with sharp wit, empathy and logic. That contrast, the calm setting against piercing insight, made people stop, listen and realize that something extraordinary was happening. Something that couldn't be unseen, and something that changed the conversation forever. Link of her channel in the description. Does all this make a difference? Absolutely. Laws are beginning to change, thanks to the collective efforts of influencers, writers and creators across every platform who refuse to stay silent. Together they're turning awareness into action and pushing real reform where it matters most. The shift has begun, not in California or New York, but in the heartland Kentucky, where meaningful change quietly took root in the family courts with the introduction of default 50-50 custody rulings. I want to thank the manosphere and recognize the impact it's having on young men, the future providers, protectors and pillars of our civilization. Your work is shaping a generation ready to stand strong in a world that desperately needs men. The work is far from over. We must stand shoulder to shoulder, shields raised and resolve unbroken like a Roman phalanx, to defend against the growing tyranny of radical feminism and the family court industrial complex. Only through unity, discipline and courage can we reclaim fairness, freedom and the true balance between men and women. And if you find success along the way, all the better. May your God continue to bless your work. The manosphere has grown beyond a movement. It has become a force for good, igniting purpose, resilience and integrity in a generation that refuses to be broken by government corruption, deceit or manipulation. Thank you and keep up the good work. My homie Juanito Dale Ganas Wey. Yes, I butchered it, but I am a proper English gentleman, not gringo. Bola de pendejos. Please, do not lose your sense of humor.